Hello, everybody, and once again, welcome back to the Push with Nick and KP with our latest video and podcast. So we are going to be shooting a video here today where we're going to be talking about everything regarding the Elimination Chamber that's coming up on Saturday from Perth, Australia. So for those of us who aren't particularly used to the Australian time zone, well, it's going to be an eye-opener for everybody involved on that one, especially for you guys out in the States, because that's going to be very, very late. You're approaching UK territory there. In fact, actually, I think it's an hour later than what it would normally be for UK time. So, passing that baton on to you over there in the US, this is your turn to brave the late night. But, over us here in the UK, it's going to be nice and early in the morning. So I'm looking forward to that one. But, hey, I am KP, and I'm joined by Nick. We're going to be going through all of our predictions for the Elimination Chamber, discussing all the ins and outs, what we think is going to happen, and just talking about the whole shebang. So, without further ado, how about we get started? And let's get talking about one of the bigger matches on the card, the Elimination Chamber match, and that's the men's one. So, we got to start somewhere. Why not start with one of the Chamber matches? And as you can see on the screen, we have the likes of Kevin Owens, Bobby Lashley, Randy Orton, Drew McIntyre, Logan Paul, and LA Knight. So 6 men all looking to, book a spot up against Seth freaking Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania. So, it's a big time match, this one. If we dive into the situations here, we're regarding all 6 of them, and we're looking at who we think is going to win and what our theories are going to be for this matchup. I think that you can immediately discount 2 of them. So I think Kevin Owens and Logan Paul, I don't think their path to result for a world title. I'll tell you now, because you've got Logan Paul, who's obviously the US champion. I can't see them pulling, getting another person to be on double duty, or even the remote chance of that happening. So I'm going to go with Logan Paul's not going to have a chance there. Kevin Owens been sort of in and involved with Logan for a little while. I don't really think their business is done just yet. So I have a feeling maybe that Kevin Owens could perhaps play a part in Logan being eliminated, or could be vice versa, and then obviously it leads to something else happening from there on afterwards. Maybe they renew their rivalry, maybe they continue from there on, or we have a little bit of LA Knight maybe getting involved and maybe costing Logan his place by eliminating him. So I think there's a couple of guys there that immediately I can sort of automatically discount, because they have actually business with something else to go with. Then you talk about Bobby Lashley. Being on SmackDown, I feel like you've got a disadvantage here because the title is on Raw. But let's discount that for a minute. Let's say that's not relevant. I mean, if you think about it, most of these guys are on SmackDown. KO, SmackDown. Lashley, SmackDown. Randy, SmackDown. Paul, SmackDown. LA Knight, SmackDown. There's only one man who's actually on Raw. So I guess there's only realistically one logical sense if you're talking in that vibe. So obviously Drew would be the standout there. Bobby Lashley, I don't think is done with Karrion Kross. I think they have a lot of business to deal with there in terms of obviously the Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits going up against the Final Testament. Still trying to learn their name. And then you got Randy Orton, who realistically is the only other option here, I think. So before I do get into what I'm deciding regarding that one, Nick. So with your thoughts regarding this one, then. Have I overlooked something regarding those 4 other men? Bobby, Kevin, Logan, and LA Knight. What are your thoughts on those as particular chances for themselves?
No, I think you pretty much took all the main points that I had in my head here. I don't think they're going to do the double champ bit with Logan, and I would like to think that they're going to continue. I think we both kind of thought they would maybe continue that feud from the Royal Rumble with Kevin Owens and Logan Paul. I wouldn't mind LA Knight getting in there as well. Maybe this is the kind of the launching pad they use for those 3 to set something up for Mania. I think Bobby's going to continue his feud with the Final Testament. I think, as you said, the only real 2 logical answers I think here are the 2 men listed in the middle. To your point, the brand loyalty is obviously clearly not playing a role anymore. Unfortunately or fortunately, however you view that, I think we'll see how they handle that going forward. But I think just from a pure going forward aspect, I think it would be nice for them to kind of hold that true a little more. But it seems like whenever they needed to, they just kind of break it. But that's another discussion for another time. but yeah, I think the two in the middle are the only logical answers, and I think really it only makes sense the way they've been building is the guy there on the right as Drew McIntyre. They've been building him to the heel. I think it's been long overdue. And I'm just going to go out on a limb and say he'll continue that winning streak through Mania. I think it's the right time. I think it's past due time for Rollins to lose his, and I think it's definitely time for Drew to get his redemption from the COVID era reign that he had.
Yeah, I mean, you make so many great points there. I think in terms of if we talk about Drew McIntyre recently, I think he's been absolutely phenomenal. So his heel turn, as you said, was long overdue, and since they did it, he's been absolutely killing it. Like, whether it's been online, whether it's been on social media and chatting, whatever nonsense he does online to stir up stuff with the other guys on the roster, it's been phenomenal just to witness on there. But also, like, the stuff he's been doing in and around, the ring and stuff. I've been a big fan of Drew McIntyre for a long time anyway, but we've been crying out for this heel turn, and he seems to be killing it. Like, he's doing everything right, he's ticking all the boxes, and he's just being an absolute badass. Like, there's nothing that he's doing wrong right now. He's literally putting himself in as the biggest guy, as the biggest threat. Rollins, yeah, we've wanted him to lose the title for a little while now. I think, like, it's time for that to happen. I don't think he can really elevate it any more than what he has done. Time for a nice change of pace. And I think, like you said, that begins with Drew McIntyre winning the Chamber here in Perth, and then going forward to WrestleMania to obviously challenge Seth Rollins. And then I think that's where he defeats Seth as well. So that's like a topic of conversation for another time. But yeah, Randy is sort of like the second to Drew in this one. But I think, as you also alluded to, the story just makes a lot more sense for Drew to win. So purely on that basis, it's got to be McIntyre. He's going to win the Chamber match here, and he's going to go over to WrestleMania. So I think it's just logical on that front. As for the match itself, it looks great, right? In terms of the names in this one, like Logan being in the Chamber is quite a surprise, but happy with the quality of the match, and hopefully it's going to be as good as it looks on paper.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think hopefully this match delivers. It looks as good. I'm sure Logan will provide quite a few spots, and KO as well. Usually has a few good high risk maneuvers for these kind of matches. I don't know. I just still considering the two in the middle there, I wouldn't rule out Bobby either. I just feel like it makes more sense for Drew here, and I don't know if. I wouldn't be surprised if Randy has kind of seen his last reign. We weren't even sure if he was going to be able to come back at all. So I think it's nice for him to be here. But on the other side of that same coin, I don't know how many more opportunities he's going to have to even be in the picture. So I guess what I'm trying to say is if they were to pull the trigger on him either as well, I wouldn't be completely surprised, as I feel like his clock kind of is running out.
Yeah, his clock does seem to be running out a little bit. We were sort of dubious as to his availability and like his health at the moment, but I mean, putting him in the Chamber is quite a statement. So maybe he's doing all right. Maybe he's not as bad as we might have feared. But it's great to see him back in action, and in a big matchup like this, yeah, count me in. Looking forward to it. Excited to see how this one goes down. But hey, let's move on now and talk about something a little bit different. So next up then, we have a matchup for the Women's World Championship. We have Rhea Ripley, Mami, the native Australian, defending against somebody who also was actually born in Australia herself, Nia Jax. Like, don't associate her with being Australian, but in fact, she was born there. So two born Aussies going one-on-one here for the world title. Could this be the main event? Maybe, maybe not. But yeah, either way, I think the crowd are going to be on their feet for Rhea Ripley in this one. Nia seems to be sort of elevating herself now to a position where she's considered to be the more dominant heel in this situation. And yeah, it's almost as if, like, Rhea, who's obviously been this badass heel for the last however long now, you're talking, a couple of years or so. I mean, it could be a point where Nia, purely because of her size and her inspiration for wanting to win the championship and go after Rhea Ripley, knowing that she is a dominant force, I think maybe Rhea is sort of like playing second fiddle as the heel in this one. So it's an interesting dynamic, interesting philosophy. But regarding the match itself, I can only see it going one way. I think the bigger picture is Rhea going into WrestleMania against someone who we'll talk about later on. But for now, yeah, talking about this match specifically here, Nia's obviously been this big threat, but I don't think she's going to be enough to defeat Rhea when it comes down to it. So that's my prediction here. Quite a nice, easy one. I'm going to assume you're on the same side of the coin.
Yes, and trying not to be biased, and let my displeasure for one of these competitors come into play. Nia has not lost a singles match since September, I believe. A singles match since September. So they've definitely have been working on building Nia Jax up to be a credible threat to Rhea. That being said, I don't think now, if this was a couple of years ago and Vince was still clearly in charge, this being in Australia, Rhea's her rightful heir and that sort of thing, this 100% screams Nia would be winning, getting loads of heat to take that title from Rhea. That is exactly what I would say would happen here. But that's no longer the case. So I think it's safe. I don't think we're going to get any new title holder here, and a bit of a swerve. I don't think that's going to happen. I think Rhea is going to hold on to it. But man, I don't love Rhea's reign up until now anyways. I feel like she's constantly making her competitors look a little too strong. But that's picking at straws, I suppose. I think, especially in this build-up between the two, especially on the interview and how last week's SmackDown went down, Raw went down. Nia is, like you said, is definitely being booked as the more intimidating heel here, and Rhea almost making her look like I don't want to say babyface, but she's definitely not acting like a heel. It's not being booked very strong here. But anyways, hopefully Rhea can come out here. If they want to make Nia look strong, that's fine. But I absolutely do believe that Rhea winning here is the right choice. Let's hope that's the decision they make.
I'm sure it will be, and I think once Rhea does win against Nia, it sort of like puts her back in the situation where she is the badass of the women's division over on Raw. So, yeah, just a matter of putting Nia to the side and then focusing on the next challenger, who we'll be talking a little bit about later on. But I think we basically considered everything here in this one. Fingers crossed, Rhea does get the win. Now we're going to discuss the Tag Team Championship match, the undisputed WWE Tag Team Championship match. That's going to be Finn Balor and Damian Priest defending those titles up against Pete Dunne. It is Pete Dunne now. He's no longer Butch. He's Pete Dunne. And Tyler Bates, his old British strong style buddy. So, yeah, I mean, this matchup, honestly, I was having a discussion with somebody the other day regarding the Tag Team Championships now. I'm in the position where I don't overly care about them. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm quite a big fan of the guys in Judgment Day. Like, I don't necessarily dislike any of them, but I don't know. Like, it's just something about those championships now. They just feel like they're just sort of there. It's like there's not much prestige to them, and like it's just sort of like a little thing on the side that they've all going on. I don't know if it's maybe shadowed over by the fact that R-Truth has been bringing comedy into the situation recently, so the seriousness has kind of gone. Or it could be the fact that the titles just generally aren't that big a deal right now. I mean, Damian Priest is Send Your Money in the Bank, but then again, he doesn't really... that doesn't seem to be the biggest of deals either right now, so I don't have a clue. Something about these guys and just the gold that they have on them, the power... It doesn't seem quite right. Do I think that means that Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate will win, though? Absolutely not. No, I think the Judgment Day will win this one. They'll retain again, but I mean, it's so strange. I like tag team wrestling. I don't have an issue with it in the slightest, but I mean, this has been one of the most forgetful reigns I think we're going to see in a long time. There's been no crazy moments except for when they won the titles. Like we're going back a long way now, right? And then obviously you had that bit with Cody and Jay, but I really don't know. I'm sort of a little bit away from this, like personally, sort of like overshadowing it. I simply don't care for this matchup. I think I've just lost all interest. But yeah, I don't know. Pete and Tyler. I hope it's good. I hope it's good. I hope Pete and Tyler get like a good showing, and I hope they prove themselves to be the standard that they are, because they are both fantastic competitors. But yeah, I think Damien and Finn are going to win, and I'd love to see if you've got a little bit more hype about this one than I do, to be honest.
Yeah, I think just the tag team titles in general, both men's and women's, just have not been to the prestigious what they used to be, especially when you consider where these titles were a year ago, with KO and Sami Zayn winning them. We've dropped a little bit, but even considering the Judgment Day alone, you have the tag titles. You have on and off again champion, and Dom has won a couple. And then you have the Senior Money in the Bank, who I know we talk about every pay-per-view, but the only time you hear WWE mention that is when he's getting introduced and walking down to the ring. You're like, oh yeah, he does have that Money in the Bank or Senior in the Bank briefcase that I feel like we say it every month. I haven't a clue what they're going to do with that. That's kind of the corner they booked themselves in. You have the tag titles that don't feel that important, which is a shame too. I think they either need to unify them, have one title, one set of titles for both brands, or separate them and redesign them so each brand can have one. Because I do feel there are a lot of good tag teams. Pete Dunne, which is kind of funny. You were second guessing yourself because kind of like the Gunther situation. We're programming our heads, so long to remember these names, and you finally get one and they change it back. So that kind of made me laugh because I kind of have the same thing going on. It is finally Pete Dunne, and I was finally getting used to Butch, and now it's back to Pete Dunne, rightfully so. But that being said, I think that Damian Priest is kind of the issue here. If he's going to cash in at some point, you would think he wouldn't have a tag title on him. That would seem silly. But that being said, I think you're continuing to build that R-Truth and Miz storyline with the Judgment Day. So I think that's probably their end goal. So I think obviously you need the titles at the beginning, and maybe you don't. I don't know. But I feel like that's where they're going. But I think this will be a good match. I think it'll be fun with a really fast-paced match, and with these four guys in there, I think it will be good. But yeah, I don't see Judgment Day losing. But I wouldn't mind, these two teams maybe mixing R-Truth and The Miz and DIY, kind of a fatal four-way thing for Mania. I think that could be a potential good match, or a Mania-worthy match, if you will. But I do think we need to get the titles off of Judgment Day, just because it definitely taken it back, or maybe a third row seat even, to the story that Judgment Day are currently telling. So, yeah, I think Judgment Day will win here, but I do think they need to get rid of those soon. There's just too many tag teams out there that are getting underutilized. The OC being a prime example. They walk Michin down to the ring, and other than that, they're barely on TV. So they have way too many tag teams to have titles that feel this non-important, if you will.
Yeah, agreed. I think with WWE, they sort of gone with this persona recently where they've put the titles as undisputed. They've unified them, whatever you want to call the situation, and they're hoping that they sort of raise the prestige of the divisions. But I genuinely think that it just makes it seem way more chaotic when they do that. There's people scrambling from both brands trying to get opportunities, and it just seems very desperate. There's no sort of logic to it, and it's very sort of I don't know, it's not very strategic. So yeah, you make a great point. The amount of tag teams that are underutilized, I don't know. It would be such a shame to see the likes of the Creed brothers, for example. they might not win a tag team title in ages because you've got teams queuing up. You've got teams literally queuing up for, from both brands, and the line just seems to be never ending. So yeah, it's a very odd philosophy, but they need to definitely, like you said, take titles off Judgment Day, split them up or something. Whilst you're at it, just rebrand them like you said, and just because they could do with a rework. How long we have these for now? A long time. Yeah, they look a little bit outdated, but I mean, this match I do hope is good. Really do hope is good. I know how good all four of these guys can be on their heyday. So yeah, let's hope it's a good time, and we'll go from there on. So tag team championship discussed. How about we talk about something a bit more positive, because this match looks great. On paper, 6 women in the Elimination Chamber looking to book their spot at WrestleMania up against the winner of Rhea Ripley and Nia Jax for the Women's World Championship. You've got Liv Morgan, you've got Naomi, you've got Becky Lynch, Bianca Belair, Tiffany Stratton, and a returning Raquel Rodriguez, who returned on Monday Night Raw this past Monday, which was a pretty cool moment for her. I'm very, very happy for her individually there. I'm sure it felt really great to be back in the action and already put in a spot in a big matchup like this. So you talk about that match earlier, Rhea Ripley and Nia. If we're going with Rhea Ripley winning that one, then it's obviously, who you think is going to go up against Rhea Ripley. And I think immediately there are 2 women who stand out as options there. So I'm going to talk about the women who I don't particularly think are in line for that. Tiffany Stratton is terrific. She's fantastic. I think it's too early to throw her in a WrestleMania match of the caliber of someone like Rhea Ripley or Nia, but yeah, or Rhea Ripley. I think that's too soon for her. Naomi just coming back to the company and having a bit of a hiatus there. Don't get me wrong, she's great as well. Very talented individual. I think that she has, I don't know what she has to do at the moment, but again, I think, you don't throw her straight into a big title match like that when you first come back. So I think maybe not yet just for her either. Ripley, Raquel Rodriguez, it's great that she's back, and I'm ready for her, but I don't think she's going to win this matchup. That's just a personal reason. Like, I think actually she could logically be a choice to win, but I'm going to say I don't think so. So, I mean, yeah, the logic is there for her. You could argue definitely she has a case, but I think the other 2 in my head have stronger cases to win. So that's why I'm not going to choose Raquel. Bianca Belair being on SmackDown, I personally think that she won't win this one. Again, the brand split. We talked about this before. I think that's the only reason there. We know how good Bianca is. Like, she's, pushed a hell of a lot, and she's rightfully so. She's very, very good. But I personally think there's another dream match for Bianca at WrestleMania, and Jade Cargill would be an absolutely perfect choice for that matchup. So, as to where she is at the moment, obviously we don't really know. She was at the Rumble. She seems to have disappeared. She was seen once on SmackDown in the stands with Nick Aldis. I genuinely think that Bianca and Jade would be amazing. Is that too early for that one, though? You could argue maybe, perhaps, but I think a lot of people are crying out to see that one. So there you go. That leaves Liv Morgan and Becky Lynch. I will hold my judgment on these 2 for the moment because I'm still trying to think who I think is going to win. But yeah, what are your thoughts regarding everything I've discussed so far and furthermore?
Yeah, I think, especially with the promo that was done by these 6 women on Monday, I think, and we're not going to talk about what happened after the promos, but I think they all kind of make a great case, and I think a couple of them arguably gave their best promos that they've ever done. I mean, it was a great segment, and I think they've done a great job of building this up. With Tiffany, I think you can't deny, the sky is the limit for her. But yeah, probably too soon. But this is a great opportunity for her to make a great name for herself on Maine, with the likes of these other women here. Bianca, as you said, I think they're probably saving her for Jade. And further to that, Bianca seems to be kind of hinting more heelish lately, definitely getting a little more attitude in her promos, which I know we've both been calling out for quite some time. I don't think Jade will be a heel, therefore, I think if that's the match we do get at Mania, I think we will see a full turn by Bianca by then. Whether that be at Mania or in the build up to it, I couldn't be more excited for that. Naomi, her winning just doesn't make any sense. I think it's great that they brought her back, but I think we need to see something else. That just putting her with Rhea just wouldn't make a ton of sense in my opinion. Raquel, I actually think, and I don't think this is my bias speaking, I think Raquel versus Rhea, we've already kind of seen glimpses of that, but it felt like it was kind of cut short. I wouldn't personally be mad at that matchup, but I think both of them, being the stature and kind of the build they are, I think is a dream match in itself to see on the Mania stage. So, people are saying that the only reason she's in here is because of Jade not being here. Well, second only to Jade, this huge star that they're building up and arguably one of the best women's debuts at the Rumble, I don't think is a bad place to be. So I don't think that I'm going to rule her out just yet. But I think, we can make cases that the 4 out of the 6 here, are believable and winning this match. And I think contrary to the men's, I think that's part of what makes this one a little more fun is there are lots of options. Obviously, there's the obvious one. But I don't think, 4 out of 6 of these women winning would be looked down upon or a huge shock.
No, I think you're right. Yeah, I think it definitely does have a bit more of varied options for who could win this one, as opposed to the men's one, like we did say, and like you mentioned a moment ago. I think it does come down to the two still for me with Liv and Becky, and the more I think about it, the more I get confused on who I think is winning it. Liv has the story behind. She has the redemption arc. She has the vengeance in mind. She got taken out by Rhea, and she wants to have at it. I guess it makes sense. And then with Becky Lynch, you've got that marquee matchup. You got Becky against Rhea, first time on main roster that will have happened if it does take place. They've only ever gone on a match against each other one-on-one once before, and that was on NXT a fair while ago now. So yeah, it's a big matchup there as well. I'm literally back and forth between who I think could win this one. I'm gonna go with Liv Morgan though. Liv against Rhea, it has the story, and I think it's got that redemption sort of thing, as I mentioned a moment ago. Yeah, it could go either way. It really, really could. I don't know is the honest answer, but I'm just gonna pick Liv just because I have to give an answer. So yeah, we'll take Liv. Purely because of those reasons I mentioned a moment ago, and I ain't gonna complain about that. I think if it's that intensity, Liv's gonna absolutely bring some pretty firesome promos in the build up to that matchup. But yeah, this is gonna be good. I'm looking forward to this match. I really, really am. Forward for the unpredictability of it. So yeah, exciting times ahead. Liv's my pick to win.
Yeah, and I won't be mad with that either. Liv has made leaps and bounds from her first Money in the Bank winning, and kind of got turned on by the fans. Her promo she got the other night was, I think, arguably one of her best. She's definitely improved quite a bit. So I would not be mad at that. I think the only reason that has me leaning towards Becky or Bianca is just it feels like a more of a Mania style match. I think with Bayley and Io on the other championship, feeling like a match more devoted to hardcore wrestling fans and maybe not the general public, as we've talked about before. Mania kind of alludes to the general public a little more. I think that's why everyone's thinking the man versus mommy for Mania, and I don't think there's any logic that doesn't make sense for that. But they just kind of started building her up, Becky, quite a bit, and so it seems like that is the obvious answer. But again, I don't think anyone's going to bat an eye at Bianca versus Rhea, and if they keep pushing off Jade, maybe they're convinced that they're not going to do that for Mania, And if that is the case, then I would personally, I think Bianca is the best fit for the bill. That being said, yeah, you're over here making me second guess myself, because Liv has been quite. She's been on fire lately as well since her return. Hasn't really done anything wrong, and Rhea slides in. Raquel slides in the other night and makes a strong case for herself. But again, as we've already said, I think that's what makes this match so great is the unpredictability of it. Just going to go with the safe bet, I guess. Just assuming Jade's going to be there because they showed her off at the Rumble. So I'm just going to go with Becky Lynch here. I think I doubted her at the Rumble. Tricked myself out of picking her at the Rumble, so I'm going to do it. I'm not going to fall into that trap this time. I think it is going to be Becky versus Rhea at Mania.
And like you said to my verdict, I wouldn't be mad about that either. I think that both of those matches sound like great possibilities. I think that in terms of the bigger Mania match, it probably is Becky against Rhea. So, yeah, no complaints from myself if Becky was to win, to be honest with you. That's a big-time match. And I think it will go down a treat as well, for sure. So that is the entire match card spoken about. Those are the start times there for those of you who are in the US. So obviously you got the Australian Western Standard Time being 6 p.m. So that's what time it is going to be locally for them over in Australia. So Eastern Standard Time 5 a.m., Central Standard Time 4 a.m., Mountain Standard Time 3 a.m. What the heck? I have never even heard of Mountain Standard Time. Pacific Standard Time 2 a.m. and then Hawaiian Standard Time 12 a.m. So midnight. So yeah, you've got some pretty crazy start times there, right? They're all spread around various times of the morning. That makes the British times look a little bit tame, to be honest with you. Every single one of those, except for the Hawaii, is after ours. So I mean, fair play. You guys have the difficult role this time to play, so that'll be interesting. But yeah, 1 o'clock UK time is what we normally have to deal with. So welcome to our world. Ours is going to be 9 a.m. So happy with that one. Yeah, what are your thoughts regarding the times? You looking forward to that?
Yeah, definitely a change of pace, roles reversed, if you will. But yeah, Mountain Time over here in the States is the one between the Central and the West. But yeah, personally, I am in the Central, and I will not be staying up till 4 a.m. For 3 hours probably to watch this. I'll probably watch it Saturday night. Probably when I'll watch it, and I'll have my notifications turned off and all that fun stuff, like you usually have to do over there in the UK. So, but yeah, I love the fact that they're going international for pay-per-views. I think at least half of them should do that, if not more. It's silly not to take advantage of that and try to increase your brand. So I'm excited for it.
Yeah, that's the main thing, isn't it? These international shows, they just really elevate the brand as a big thing. Like, you're going global. I mean, they've been to the United Kingdom. They've been to Puerto Rico, obviously Australia here. For this one, they've got trips to Germany coming up and France. Like, there's a lot going on, right? Obviously Canada as well, but that's obviously a bit more, feasible for the company anyway before that. But yeah, I'm loving it. The global tour is brilliant, and it's really sort of elevating things. So yeah, bit of a change of pace. You're in the 4 a.m. bracket. Yeah, I don't blame you for going to bed, to be honest with you. Might be the best idea for that one. Watch it when it's a bit more appropriate. But yeah, I don't think I would stay up until 4 a.m. to watch it. On the flip side, you could even go to sleep early, then wake up early. But obviously, family man, might not be as easy as that. But yeah, they're the times, and very interesting topic of conversation there. It's odd to have it so different,
I don't know. I'm kind of expecting maybe we get a swerve for the women's championship. I feel like I just have that gut feeling something's going to happen. Maybe that's, I don't know. I don't know what it is, but it's just something feels like I don't think we're going to get a straightforward match. And I'll eat my words on the reactions if that is the case. But something just feels like something's cooking there. I don't know what it is, but maybe if that ends up being after the women's, maybe whoever wins will get involved that way. I don't know. We'll see. Because I feel like they built Nia this long. without losing a singles match. Maybe they have some screwy finish there to help keep that intact. I don't know. We'll see. I don't necessarily want that, but something feels different about that match. So we'll see. But yeah, it should be fun. The tag team titles. I think that could potentially be match of the night, possibly. I'm really high on this British Strong Style team. I love both of them so much, and they don't have bad matches. So I wouldn't be mad if they won the titles.
Wow. Okay. Cool. A little bit of bonus content there, right at the death. Okay. Yeah. I mean, to be fair, I'm a big fan of them both anyway, so wouldn't be against it completely. Can I see it happening? Probably not, but I definitely wouldn't mind it. Yeah. Dunn and Bate, they're both brilliant. You know, the UK style is phenomenal. I mean, Gunter was on NXT UK for some time, so you know, similar backgrounds there from that particular part. But no, yeah, it's an interesting little thing to just discuss. That maybe there's an outside chance that could happen, but yeah, maybe match of the night. Who knows? Could be possibly. But yeah, I think there are some good matches on the card. It's not the biggest card, but it's definitely, you know, got some interesting thoughts to come from that. But yeah, maybe a screw finish in the Naira and Rhea match. Who knows? Maybe possibly just to keep Naira a little bit saving face there in that one. Weirdly enough. Yeah. Anyway, thank you very much, everybody, for tuning on in, listening to this one. It's been a nice little conversation regarding everything about Elimination Chamber. You know, if those of you who are staying up, wish you the best of luck. Hopefully it goes well, and yeah, welcome to the UK experience plus another couple of hours on top as well for those of you who are in the later time zones. But yeah, looking forward to this one. Australian crowd, I reckon they'll probably be quite loud. There's also a little segment as well with Waller, but we're not going to really discuss that right now. We're just talking about the matches per se. But yeah, bring up the Aussie crowd. Looking forward to it. Our next video and podcast is going to be coming out with the results for this event. So that'll be like similar time next week, maybe a little earlier, who knows. And yeah, we'll be casting all of our thoughts and opinions on what went down. So looking forward to it. We'll see you guys then. Thanks for popping in and tuning in. This has been KP, and this has been Nick with The Push, and we will see you next time. Thank you very much, guys. See you later.